Hi everyone, this is Total War Therapy and today we're gonna rank every single missile infantry from any roster and faction. It's 2 AM here in Italy and I have a flight for Sofia in Bulgaria in around I think 4 hours. Have still to prepare the bag, but I don't care. I love you so much guys and I really wanted this video to be out by the weekend, so here we are. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. But before diving deep into the ranking, I want to tell you first which units will not be included. First, the monstrous infantry, so I'm sorry but no Ogre lead belchers today, no Shabti with the great bows. I generally think that these units first are too big for being considered infantry, and second they actually break the scale of the ranking, so they will all be high tier and this is not fair for the other units. Second, the skirmish units with that are more melee focus, for example the pirate slayers, that it's true that they have this pistol with actually a lot of armor piercing damage, but you're not gonna use them in that way. They have very few ammunition, so for me they are more melee fighters with a little missile bonus. Then the melee weapon variants that doesn't affect the missile performance. So for example, you know, the coasters that are two versions, one with the little axe and one with the spear. That is gonna change dramatically how you use them in the melee combat and you know, according to which faction you are playing against, but at the same time it doesn't affect the missile performance itself. And this is a video about missile infantry. And fourth, the units with too much slight differences between each other. For example, the peasants of Bretonnia, that there are 3 versions: generic, with fire and with poison, but who cares, they suck all anyway. Or even, you know, the high elves, for example, that there are the archers with a little more of armor that you pay just nothing and you get, you know, a plus of armor, and it's just not worthy to talk about this unit separately. Say that, we can start. Let's start with the Beastmen and with their only missile infantry unit, that are the Angor Raiders. Now, let me say that I think that this unit is quite underrated. If you think about, they are one of the very few missile options for the Beastmen roster. They have the stalk, so they will be invisible in the map. Their range is very low and the damage itself is quite poor, but they are, you know, enough fast, enough annoying, and with the stalk they gain a lot of points in my opinion. And when you play with the Beastmen at the end, you need to recruit a lot of them and they are quite useful. You can plan some stalk strategy, so you just appear at the back of the enemy and shoot from there, and you can overwhelm the enemy army with all the other Beastmen units, so they can have an easy job. That's why for me, given the price, their usage, they are still expendable with the stalk, even with the very low range and the low damage. I think that they are an A tier unit. Now let's talk about Bretonnia, again just with one unit that actually are 3. There is the generic version, then the version with the poison, and at the end the version with the fire, that are actually all the same. There are just slight differences. For example, the poison, it's reduce some of the stats, but you will use them in the same way anyway, and they are terrible. They are terrible even for being a very cheap missile infantry. They have no other effects, no other ability, and yeah, they're so boring. I really don't understand why they don't want to make, and maybe they're not included in the in the Games Workshop universe, but I really would like to have some upgraded option, because playing your entire Bretonnia campaign, not that I do a lot, I almost never played the Bretonnia campaigns, but getting only this option as a missile infantry, it's very boring. And yeah, I'm not putting into the D tier because you will recruit a lot of them in the early to mid campaign. Now let's talk about the Dark Elves, and let's start with the Black Corsairs with their little crossbow. That in this case, even if it's a skirmish unit, I decided to include it because they have a lot of ammunition, and you can actually use them only for their missile attack. And yes, they are fast, of course the range is very little, the damage is not that effective, but they are quite annoying. They can damage some infantry that is lower than them, so they can, you know, keep the distance with the skirmish mode and keep firing at them. I don't use them that much out of my, you know, Black Arcs, so when I want to build some Navy, some fleets with Dark Elves, yes, because they are cheaper, but yeah, except that, yeah, I just think there are a better option with the Shades, with the Dark Shards, so yeah. Not that much to say. Then we have the Dark Shards of the Dark Elves. I love them. I love them. They are one of the craziest. I think that back in Total War Warhammer 2, they were probably one of the best missile infantry. Now, I mean, there are many other options, so it's more competitive. But yeah, they have the shield, and this is a very important factor. There is even the version without the shield, but I never crewed them. And the version with the shield is great because they will be protected by other missile attack, because they have a lower range compared to, for example, to the archers. So they may need this extra protection from arrows and other missile attacks, and then they have the ammo piercing damage that from the early to mid campaign you cannot see the difference, but when you will be from, you know, from the mid to the late campaign, they will still deal a lot of damage against the more armored units. That's why for me they deserve the S tier. And then we get the Shades that I mean, I can't pretend to actually say an evaluation, but we already know where they fit. In any case, they are they are less in number than the Dark Shards, but they are still ammo piercing, and they have the Stalk that allow them to, you know, move around the map invisible, and then they are better in melee. There are other two versions, one with anti-infantry damage and another with great weapons, so ammo piercing damage, and all of the three are great. And yeah, for me they definitely deserve the S tier. Now it's the time of the high healths. Let's start with the generic archers. There are two versions, as I said, the one with the light armor and the one without. They are great. I mean, I think even in the late campaign you may want to recruit a lot of them because they are a good balance between price and effectiveness. And yeah, I just love them. They're quite generic at the end. They don't offer, you know, such great ability, but they have an incredibly long range. It's they're probably one of the best archers here, probably except the Wood Elves. So yeah, they're just great. Yeah, honestly, I don't know what to say. I mean, they're just great, and we will put them into the A tier. Then we get the Shadows Warriors that I don't remember if they are included in the base game with the DLC, the Queen and the Crown, but yeah, and the Queen and okay, I forgot. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the worst DLC of this game, and they are great, honestly, because they are like a Wood Elves unit. So they have the Stalk, but they still have a lot of damage. So yeah, quite lovely. I'm not sure about where to put them because I didn't recruit a lot of them in my last high health campaign, just because I want to play more solid with more defensively with the high healths. But I generally think that they are at least a A tier. And then there are the Sisters of Avalor. Now, first I have to say that they are very expensive. They require a specific building to recruit them, and this is a weakness for me. And you know, when I say some things about this unit, sometimes I'm afraid to be wrong, because they change it so many times, the game, with so many patches. They change, you know, the abilities, the stats, that sometimes I'm afraid to say something wrong, but yeah, I generally think that they still require a specific building, and yeah, but they're still very, very great. They have magical damage, they have an amazing long range, and their arrows destroy everything. Okay, you will see this celestial rain that it's so satisfying to watch, and they're even pretty decent in melee. So if they are charged by some low or mid-tier infantry, they may not find that much trouble. That's why we will put them into the S tier. And at the end we have the Northern Sea Guard. Now the Northern Sea Guard, it sacrifices a little of range compared to the other archers, but they get better melee stats. What is great about them is that with the anti-large bonus, the charge defense and reflection, you can use them to protect your flanks from cavalry, from monstrous attacks, and so on. And they have the shield to, in case they want to fight in melee, and there is the version without the shield. I would not recruit many of them. Probably with the new DLC, you will be, encouraged to have some armies with the Mist Mage and with the Sea Lord Aisling that we will grant some bonuses to them. But in a generic high health army, I still think that you can balance them with the archers. You can put the archers into the mid of your missile formation and them to cover the flanks and maybe the rear guard. So I think they are a good A tier unit. Now let's talk about the Empire. The first unit will be the Archers. This unit is so useless, you need a DLC to recruit them, the Hunter and the Beast. But yeah, for me they are just the bad version of the Crossbowmen. That's why I never recruit them, just in some armies, because there are some bonuses like with Marcus, but otherwise they're just used. They're terrible. They're the weakest archers here, and there are even the peasants. Maybe I don't know which one is stronger, but yeah. In any case, if you're able to recruit the Crossbowmen, you just don't need them. That's why for me they will put it into D category compared to the peasants, because someone of you can say, okay, but why the peasants are C tier? Because in the case of the Empire you have other options, so you really don't need to recruit them. With Bretonnia instead, they are the only version available. That's why at least we will give them to the peasant, the C tier. Then we have the Crossbowmen that actually are not that bad. They will not be, the damage dealer of your army, and compared to other units of the same category, they are quite weak, but at the same time, they do their job. They have a decent range. They are not that bad. The damage is not armor piercing, and compared to other Empire units, they don't need the straight side. That it is a huge advantage. That's why we'll put them into the B tier. Then we get the Free Militia Company, that it's another skirmish unit like the Black Ark Corsair, and yeah, in this case I use them a little more. Of course, depends on which kind of army composition you are building with your Empire faction. But yeah, they can be useful, funny to use in the early campaign. They can make the enemy units to do some cardio to follow them. They can fire whilst moving, so yeah, quite nice. Probably no, I think more C tier, because yeah, I use them, but I would not suggest them in a a good build, compared to other units, of course. Then we get the handgunners. The handgunners are crazy. Their damage, it's very powerful, but they have a big problem. They require a straight sight of the target, so you need to deploy them in your front line, and even if they have a good range, sometimes the terrain may cause some problem. This is more a problem of the game itself and of Creative Assembly that should fix it at some point. They already made a kind of adjustments, but yeah, it's still not perfect, the situation, and this is the only reason I'm putting them into the B tier instead of the A tier. Then we get the hunters. The hunters are, for me, are a very great unit because they are like the archers, but with actually better damage. They have the fire whilst moving, so they can, you can use them as a skirmish infantry, missile infantry. They have the anti-large bonus, and I mean, overall they are greater. They have the stalk attribute, so yeah, it's a very good package, even if you don't use the Empire faction a lot with this more offensive and annoying strategy. If you know how to use them, they can do great. That's why we'll put them into the A tier. Then we get to the Null Ironsides that are the upgraded version of the handgunners. I'm a little sorry about that because I wanted them to be different, even slightly, but when they were supposed to get the repetitive rifles, I mean, it would have been more interesting. In any case, they are they're crazy. I think they deserve the S tier because yeah, they do more damage than the handgunners. They have the same range, unfortunately, but they have better melee stats and better armor. So if they will, suffer some missile attacks from the enemy or they will be charged, you will see the difference. Okay, they will take far less damage than the handgunners, and if you want to build a solid army, this is very important. Then we get the Hochland long rifles. Even when I made the video about the best missile infantry, but ranked by my subscribers, they put it in a surprisingly high tier, high place, and I agree with that. They're very strong. They are less in number. I do remember if you can deploy them over the wall in the siege battles. I should go to check later. In any case, they have plenty of armor piercing damage. Their range, it's insane for a missile infantry, and they have the ability that they can hide into the wood, and this is great because they can still fire at the target without being detected. And believe me, in some maps, when you find the right strategic position, they can tear apart the entire enemy army without getting seen. And I have an example of that. I was playing, I think, against a Vampire Coast. I have such a weak Empire army, but I have this unit deployed in a forest, and alone it destroyed everything, all the other enemy units, and for me it was very great. That's why I will put it into the A tier, because they are still very bad in melee, and the ability of the snipe works only, sorry, they don't have the, it works only if they are in the forest. Okay, made a little of confusion with the letters, so now we will address the dwarfs. Let's start with the quarrelers. There are two versions even here: the one with the great weapons and the one with the shield and the little axe. Now, as I said, they are, if you prefer one version or the other, is just a melee decision. But about the missile, they work in the same way. Their ballista, their crossbow has a nice range, not that much because they're still dwarfs, so with short arms. I hope YouTube doesn't block me for saying that, because it's just true. Compared to the other dwarfs units, it's great that they don't need the straight sight. You can deploy them in your second line behind your front line, and this is a huge advantage compared to the Iron Drakes, the Thunderers, and so on. That's why I think that you should always recruit some of them, and they are great. As I say, they're not that powerful themselves, but for the use you make in the battlefield, you will recruit a lot of them, and they're still very sturdy, very armored. When they will be attacked in melee, they will not fall down that easily. So I generally think that they deserve the S tier. Probably we will have too many units in the S tier at the end of the video, but just let's see. Then we get the Rangers. Okay, let's finish with the crossbowmen now. The Rangers are less in number. They have, I think, around the same damage, but they get the stalk that you can decide if using or not. The problem about dwarfs is that they are slow. They're sturdy but slow, so if you hide them in a forest and they are attacked by a light cavalry from the enemy, they would probably they should not worry that much about the fight. But at the same time, since they are dwarfs, you cannot send a monster, a cavalry, or a hero to to rescue them, and this is complicated for the kind of strategy you're making. That's why I don't take advantage that much of their stalk attribute, and I will put them into the B tier. Then we get the rangers with great weapons that it changes here, because instead of the crossbows they have the hatchets that I mean, they are very different attack, because the range is far shorter. They still don't need the straight sight, so you can even deploy them into the second line, but they have the, you know, the stalk attribute that you're paying for that, so you should use it. It's a little hard to make some strategy with them, but at the same time they have the great weapons that it can be nice, so yeah, you can use them in the same way of on the generic rangers. They're probably a little more funny because I mean, the damage is a lot more, but since the range is shorter, I think they are at the end in the same tier. And then we get the Thunders, the Bugman Rangers. In this case they are definitely better because they have the regeneration that I mean, it's very powerful attribute if you think about it. You will not use it that much because yeah, I mean, in most of cases they don't get hit by the enemies so much, but yeah, for me, just for this, they deserve the A tier compared to the B tier of the other rangers. Then we get the Thunderers. The Thunders is another great unit like the handgunners, but they have so many problems linked to the terrain. That's why they are powerful. But yeah, I would avoid to recruit many of them, because if you find yourself in the wrong map, you will be unable to use most of them. That's why I think the B tier it's more than enough. But I wanted to, you know, say it again, they are very strong. My problem is just because of the terrain. Then we get the Thunders with the Grudge Raker weapon. That is you know, variant that got added with the last Thrones of Decay DLC, the last DLC for the Dwarfs. No, sorry, it's not this, it's this. And yeah, they have a shorter range but more damage, more ammo piercing. In this case, you will not believe, but I will put it here and I will explain you why. Because since the range is shorter, they will have less problem with the terrain, and yeah, and the damage is far more against some chaos related faction. I have a lot of fun with them. They really annihilate all these enemies, so well deserved. Then we have the Iron Drakes. The Iron Drakes are the flaming throwers of the dwarves. I already talked about them in a video I make today, but that it will be out I don't know when. And yeah, they are great. They are very armored, and this is a nice advantage, because if they will you know, get engaged in melee against other units, against some melee enemy units, it would not be such a problem, because they are very armored. And then the flame attack, it's not ammo piercing but can tear apart every other units that is not very heavy armored, or I mean lords in any case. But yeah, for their purpose they're just perfect, lovely, and I think that any dwarf unit should recruit at least one of them in their army. Sorry, dwarfs army should recruit at least one unit of them. Then we get the Iron Drakes with the torpedo troll hammer. Yeah, I think something like that. In any case, the community is so in love with this unit, but in my opinion they have many weaknesses. This is of course just my opinion. You're free to disagree and to say in the comment why you disagree, please, in a respectful way. But yeah, I will be clear, their reload time, it's too long. It's too long. Sometimes they manage to, you know, to fire just one shot before they get engaged in melee. They get attacked even if protected. I know that they are very strong, and against the monsters they are a very good option, but in the chaos, in the dwarfs roster, they are definitely not I mean, there are other options against the big monsters, against cavalry. That's why I'm putting them into the C tier. I know that you will be very angry. I know that you will write a lot of bad stuff in the comments, but I think that the important stuff is that I explain why I think that. So you can agree or disagree, but you know, this is just my idea, and I share with you why I think that. Now I think we can talk of the Chaos Dwarfs that yeah, they were probably before in the list, but yeah, I mean, I did some confusion. So the Chaos Dwarfs have only 3 units that are actually very well rounded. First, the Hobgoblin Archers. In this case, you have the the expandable and easy to recruit unit, because the other Chaos Dwarfs they need the the upgrades of the building, of the mechanics. I mean, now we'll not dive into the Chaos Dwarfs mechanics, but about the Hobgoblin Archers, you can recruit as many as you want from the very early campaign, and this is great. They have the fire damage that for me is more aesthetically good than effective, but with aesthetically good, I mean it's truly satisfying to look at them with these fire arrows. They have a good range. They are not that strong, but they do not require the straight sight, as I said for the dwarfs before. So it's great because yeah, you can deploy them well protected in behind your front line, and this is great. You will recruit many of them even in the late campaign, because you need their presence. You need them to focus on low tier, not armored infantry that are approaching you. That's why I will put them into the A tier, even if they probably deserve the S tier. Sorry. Then we get the sorry, it's just too funny, this unit. It's unbelievably. Anyway, the blunderbusses of Chaos Dwarfs, it's very strong. Actually, it looks like a mid-tier missile infantry, but their price makes them high tier. They're one of the most expensive missile infantry of this game, and they are these angry Chaos Dwarfs with a huge cannon instead of the rifle that is very powerful. They have a short range, but it's not a big problem. You can easily just put them into the front line, defend them with a character, with a hero, or even some monsters with some flying bolts. And yeah, they're very very great, very powerful, and I think that any Chaos Dwarf army should get 1 or 2 of them. Then we get the Chaos Dwarfs with the fire glaives. And yeah, they're great. Even them, these are probably not the most expensive, but probably the second most expensive. They are very armored. They are great in melee. Their rifle is even an axe, a big armor piercing axe, so they are crazily good against armored units, some cavalry, monsters, and so on. But about the range attack is more accurate with a longer range. Not that long, I mean, it's just longer for being dwarfs, but yeah, it's quite damaging and powerful, accurate. I already said that, but in my opinion, they are not that good like the blunderbusses, and yes, sometimes I have the feeling that they are not dealing that much damage. I mean, they are great because they are also good melee fighters, but talking only about their missile attack, I don't feel to give them more than the A tier, so I think they are good here. Okay, now let's talk about the Grand Cathay, and let's start with the peasants. Now, even here the peasants are very bad. Of course, they are just peasants, but in this faction you can recruit other missile units that are quite strong, so you will need them only in the very early campaign, because when you will be able to replace them with the Jade Warriors with the crossbow, you really will not need them anymore. That's why we'll put them into the C tier. I mean, what you expect from peasants, so not that much range and almost no damage, but annoying and yeah, harassing at least. So C tier is good. Then we get the Jade Warriors with the crossbows that I'm looking. Okay, there is the version with shield and without shield, that in any case you cannot use the shield while using the crossbow. That's why it doesn't make a difference for me. They're great. I mean, I recruit a lot of them in my campaign because they are not that expensive like the Celestial Guard that you will be able to recruit only very late in the game. So for most of times, if you wanted to build a missile focus army composition for your Grand Cathay army, you will recruit plenty of them, and they are great. I mean, mid-range, they get some bonuses for the reload when they are close to a melee unit, but yeah, I mean, everything okay, not to be elite or, you know, the highest tier, but at least A tier. Then we get the Grenadiers, that honestly I will just put them here without even thinking, because they are just bad. Their ammunition, they are more than, for example, the zombies, but yeah, I don't think you can use them for a solid game, just to have some fun, a little of explosion if you're fanatics of explosion. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, I know that probably I should use them more, and when it happens, I have a little of fun with them, but they are not solid, they don't inspire me. Then we get the Celestial Crossbowmen, that are one of the most elite, they are definitely the most elite missile infantry. Here they are very powerful, they do a lot of damage, but they are very expensive. So I'm not sure about how to put them, because the problem about putting them into the A tier, it means that they are the same cost, you know, cost effectiveness of the Jade Warriors, that for me it's not true. I mean, I like them, they do a lot of damage, but still, I mean, they are too much expensive, and yeah, I mean, if you recruit a couple of them, they will be the centerpiece of your army at the end, and they are good at melee. No, okay, they probably, yeah, they deserve the A tier. Okay, so we'll put them here. Then we get the Crane Gunner. The Crane Gunner is another crazy unit that they get the shield, so they will be well protected by missile attack. You cannot deploy them over the walls in the siege battles. This is a problem. Maybe Creative Assembly will change that in the future, but yeah, they have a very long range, a lot of armor piercing damage. They are good against cavalry, monsters cavalry, and yeah, for me they're insane. That's why I would put them into the S tier. Now we get the Iron Hail Gunner, that they're supposed to be, you know, a bad version of the blunderbusses of the Thunderers with the Grudge Rakers, but at the end, I don't think that the effect overall it's the same. They are less precise, they do less damage, and this is, I'm more talking about you know, inside feeling, a stomach feelings, not checking the stats. When I use them into the battlefield, they are not that you know, game changer compared to the units of the same category. That's why we'll put them into the C tier. They may be strong, and into the right army composition they can do a great job, but still unworthy compared to other options that you get in Grand Cathay. Now the Greenskins. First you have the generic goblins. These are weak, terrible, and I never recruit them in my goblins army. I mean, unless for the very short period in the early campaign when you cannot recruit the you know, the night goblins. So yeah, for me very DD tier, because I never recruit them. And then we get the, you know, the night goblins. In this case, I think it's another underrated unit, because they have a good range, they have the stalk, they have the poison effect that reduce the stats of the enemy, and they are less in number, so overall they make less damage than the generic goblins with the bow. But with all these abilities together, it's I mean, it's quite different. It's a big upgrade for me, and yeah, I think they deserve the A tier. And for someone that say no, it's not true, believe me, the stalk attribute, poison effect, good range, it's great. It's great for me. Now let's talk about the orcs. The orcs, in very short, they have better stats than the goblin. They have more damage, more range, because I mean, their arms are longer, but at the same time they lose all the attributes that we were talking about the night goblin, so the stalk, the poison damage, and so on. That's why I don't prefer them to the goblin. But when you are building only Orcs army, maybe they can be a better choice. Just depends. I mean, Greenskins are a lot about that if you want to focus on Goblin or Orcs, so depends just which army you are building. But yeah, in any case, they are not particularly good, that's why we'll put them into the S tier. You can recruit them in your Orcs army, but they are not adding anything valuable. Now we have the Savage Orc. I decided to include them because even if they have the same missile attack, the Savage Orcs, they have the physical resistance but less armor, and that's why for me they have to be in the D tier because even with the physical resistance they are far weaker against other missile attacks, and yeah, I just never recruit them. Only if I'm doing you know, Savage Orc army with the Wardzang, but it's definitely not even my favorite, so I will just put them here. Now let's talk about the only missile infantry of the Ogre Kingdoms, of course excluding the lead belchers that I already told you, for me they are monstrous infantry. Now they are good but not good. I don't like nobblers, missile nobblers that much. Even the trappers already shared that in another video. I think they are inconsistent, while the, you know, the melee nobblers are better as a filler for the Ogre Kingdoms army. You will use a lot of them in the early campaign. The flingers themselves are just a little inconsistent with you know, the ogre concept, and I don't recruit many of them, but at the end they are like Skaven, so very annoying, very harassing, even if they have very poor damage. So yeah, I think the C tier, it's a good balance between my opinion and probably your opinion. Now let's talk about the Lizardmen. We have the, you know, the skirmisher that are your basic missile infantry. They are good. I don't recruit many of them, just in the early campaign when I wanted to offer more variety to my army composition. I still put them in my front line because they need the straight sight of the target. They are quite elusive. They can you know, run away, and they have the fire whilst moving. They can you know, try to circle around the enemy and attack the back. They are quite fast because they are still leaders, but yeah, not that impressive, but still okay. I don't know, because I don't think they are at the same level of the Thunders, but at the same time they don't have all the problems linked to the Thunders, so probably no, still a C tier, because I mean they're definitely not like the Thunders. And then we have the Chem Lion skins. I have a Chem Lion, then he went away. Truly sorry for that. I was at high school, I think, when I mean the last day. Anyway, let's stop to talk about the set stuff, and they're a great unit. Even here I don't recruit them a lot, I mean, except with my Oxiato campaigns, because I mean, I just prefer to focus on the big dinosaurs and I mean beast with when I play with the Lizardmen. But yeah, I think they're truly great. They have the poison effect, some missile resistance. They have better stats overall than the skirmishers. So yeah, they're truly great, truly annoying. They have the stalk, so yeah, they are invisible. They attack you from multiple directions, and especially when you play against them, you can feel all the pain, how annoying they are, because you have to chase them down, but they will fire at you, and yeah, they're very hard to catch. That's why the B tier, I think they deserve it. Now let's talk briefly about Tzeentch. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. The pink horrors of Tzeentch are an amazing missile unit, a little underrated probably, because I mean, they're hardly considered missile, even if I mean they're crazy. They do plenty of damage. I think their main strength is the damage that is magical, and even if they have a short range, I mean not that short, but yeah, not long neither. When they get close enough to a melee infantry without shield, or I mean even a missile infantry in general, they can destroy that unit in just 3, 4, 5 ammunition, and this is very, very good. They're very powerful. You have to be extremely careful when you're playing against them, and they're very, very satisfying when you have them in your army composition, and I just love them. The only problem, I think, it's the short range, but then they get the shield that is crazy, because you know, the first attacks that they will suffer, then it will be like you know, harmless, so they will not feel it, and this is a great advantage. And then we get the pink horrors, the exalted pink horrors. In this case they have better stats in melee and a little more of missile strength, but I still feel to put them into the S tier because they are far more versatile and stronger. You can see that yeah, they will tear apart the other infantry that they will fire at, and they're just incredible. I know that I mean, compared to all the other gunpowders, snipers, magical archers, they look quick, but believe me, if we're talking about missile infantry, they really deserve their place in the S tier. Now Tompkins, again with just one unit, that is the skeleton archers. They are not that great. I mean, they are just skeleton archers, so what do you expect? Like, they cannot be that dangerous, but yeah, they are annoying. I mean, you recruit them because they are the only available option for this category, and you need a little of you know, missile infantry to help the Shapti, the artillery pieces, and so on. So at the end, yeah, I recruit so many of them that I would be, I mean, I cannot put them into the D tier. I think the B tier is good, but no, I mean, the C tier. So you recruit them because you need, but yeah, they don't make any difference in the game. Now it's the time for Norsca. There are two units. The first is the hunters, that basically they have a little range, but quite damaging. They are shield breaker, so they can you know, hit harder the melee infantry with the shield. I like them. Of course, they have a low range, so you have to get close to the enemy to shoot, but when you do it, I mean, you can see that there is definitely an upgrade to the damage compared to other missile infantry of the same tier. But yeah, they are not that armored. You have to be extremely careful, because when they will start to get hit by other missile attacks like arrows, they will go down very easily. And again, they are not that bad in melee, but if they are attacked by a light cavalry, they would probably fall. That's why I will put them into the C tier, because yeah, the range is too short, and it's very hard to build a solid tactics with them. And then there are the hunters with the javelins. In this case, they are a little better, because even if they sacrifice a little of armor piercing damage, they get the bonus versus large. Still, the range is very little. So when you have to hit cavalry, for example, you know, cavalry is fast, so it will be easy for them to elude you. But at the same time, I can feel the difference. And yeah, when there is a cavalry charging at your flank and you deploy them to cover the flank, they will, they will be quite damaging against them. That's why I will put them into the B tier. They are at the same level of the Camelon's Kings, probably not, but yeah, I think there's something in the middle here. But since there is not, here it's okay. Now let's talk about Wood Elves, because there are too many and I wanted to do it now before I get too tired and I cannot speak anymore. Let's start with the Glade Guard. That is the most basic Wood Elves infantry. They have no stalk, that it's a shame for a Wood Elf, but at the same time you will recruit them, because they will be, you know, the most easily accessible missile infantry for the Wood Elves. So at the end you will recruit them. They're great. I mean, compared to all the other archers of the same tier, they are probably the best, and yeah, lovely. Not that much to say, because then there are all the other two categories that add some attributes, so we will just put them into the B tier. Then there is the poison version that get, I think, a little more, no, probably less damage, but with the poison. Okay, I don't remember all the differences, but yes, they get the poison. For me, they are at the same level, because at the end you're paying a little more and you will reduce the stats of the enemy for a lot, and this is good. Then we get the Glade Guard with with the Starfire shaft. I mean, these were the one with the Hegbane tips, I assume. And yeah, the Starfire shafts are a little better because they are armor piercing. Not only, I mean, I don't care about the flame effect, I already said that, but yeah, they are more armor piercing, and this is great because for a very cheap price and in the early campaign you will get access to an armor piercing missile infantry of archers, and yeah, you can use them even in the late campaign. So for me, yeah, definitely better, even for the, you know, the relationship between the price and the effectiveness. Then we get the Deepwood Scout, that are the upgraded version of the Glade Guard. In this case, you get the Stalk. That is it's a very nice advantage. And yeah, I mean, it's the upgraded version, so they have better range, better weapon strength, but the Stalk makes the difference because they start to be annoying, very annoying. And then there is the version with the, okay, this is hard, I think it's Swift Shiver Shards, something like that. This version sacrifices a lot of range, I mean a lot for a Wood Elves unit, but they get more weapon strength and more volleys. So in case you want to act like you know, shotgun, like Grudge Rakers, for example, this is we can say the archers version of this unit. I don't know where to put it because they are stronger, but at the same time sacrificing the range, they cannot be better than the generic version. I think I will put it into the same category. They're still very high tier units. And then we get the Wave Watchers. The Wave Watchers are the most expensive and the most elite missile infantry of the game, and of course are Wood Elves. They have the Stalk attribute, they are armor piercing, they do plenty of damage, they are still quite I mean, good melee fighters, and yeah, they definitely deserve the S tier because they are very strong. I can say even too much strong for me, but yeah, they want to be some Hawkeye, you know, from the Avengers, but there is many of them, and yeah, they are quite powerful. Okay, the situation of the Skaven is a little complicated, but we will do it, okay? First, let's start with the slingers, with the slaves. Okay, this unit I want to spend a little time I mean, a while I mean, I want to get my time to talk about this unit because it's terrible. But at the same time, if you play a campaign against Skaven, and I'm currently doing one with Tenawin, I mean, they are crazy. They are so annoying, and at the end they manage to, you know, to fill their purpose. Okay, because they want to annoy you, to break your formation, even if they are harmless. So even if you leave your units, you know, taking damage from them, absorbing damage from them, it's not hard stuff. But at the end they break your formation. Okay, they force you to move around your units to try to catch them, and then they run, they go back. So if I have to be honest with you, since they're still a very expendable unit that I mean, you can recruit very, I mean, plenty of them. Okay, I don't know, I think they're probably between the A and the B tier because they, you know, they achieved their goal, and this is you know, this is their work. They don't have to be a high tier missile infantry. They've just to annoy you a lot for that little price that you are paying. But yeah, they are better than the Thunderers, probably not, so I will put them into the B category. Okay, now we have the Night Runners. I really don't remember which one is which one, so probably will do some confusion. I'm sorry about that, but I mean, they're really so similar. So let's say that these are the Night Runners. The Night Runners are the, I mean, the upgraded version. And there are two different kinds of attack. One that is these knives that have shorter range but more damage, and then the slingers. Of course, with the slingers they cannot fire whilst moving, but with these knives, yes. So I mean, you can decide which version you want, if you want more a stable, solid missile infantry or a more skirmish one. Let's talk first about this. That is the skirmish one with the knives. And yeah, okay, I don't use them because, I mean, they are annoying, they are very, very fast, They are very, very fast, and this is the main advantage compared to the slingers. At the same time, they cost more, but yeah, they can be quite annoying. And if I remember my my campaigns against Skaven, mostly against I mean, they are very, very they're very, very harassing, because they in this case they actually deal damage. Okay, it's not like the slingers, so you have to be careful. And even if they have a very short range, they are very, very fast, so they can escape, then they can run, go back. So probably they deserve the A tier. Different is the case of the slingers, that I think it's them, that I mean at the end they work in the same way of the of the slingers, Skaven slaves. So they're just more expensive and they do more damage, so I will put them here. And now let's talk about the Night Gutter Runner. I think, yeah, this is the name. And yeah, again, slingers and no slingers. The normal version for me deserves, that can be even the S tier, because they get the stalk. Then there is the version with the poison effect, but I didn't include it for, the things that I say in the intro. For me, they are good. Okay, they are very, very good. Probably, yeah, S tier. Yeah, I'm surprised to do this, but at the end, yeah, they do an amazing job, and they have the stalk. They are annoying. They are exceptionally fast, so they do everything you expect them to do. And then there is the version with the slingers that, honestly, for me, is still B tier, because yeah, you are paying more, but it's not gonna change the substance. Now, okay, given the price, maybe I will still put them here, because yeah, I don't think they are at the same level of these other units. And yeah, okay, we finished with the skirmish missile infantry of the Skaven, so we can start with the weapon teams. First, we get the flamethrowers, the warp flamethrowers. This is a very great unit, and I think it's the same level of the Iron Drakes. They're probably a little less armored, but still very armored. Their warp fire, it's working in the same way. So you have a short range, but a lot of damage, not armor piercing. So you should focus on melee infantry of low tier and so on. But at the end, they're great and a must to recruit in your Skaven army. Then we get these two units that are okay. They have so different names for, at the end, doing the same stuff. They are basically one Poisoned Wind Globadiers, that is this, and then there is the Death Globe Bombardiers. Explain me why you're using a different text for the same unit. It's literally the same, but this is more poison, is better against it's, I think, half the price of the Death Globe, but yeah, they are better against cavalry. I didn't get why, but probably because they reduce the stats, so they help. They work as a support to your infantry. I don't use a lot of them, but I have to admit that they are truly powerful. That's why I will put them into the B tier. You can use them as a support, and they will help you so much against whichever factions, even with a short range. So you don't need to, you don't need to deploy them in your front line. Okay, they still have to be protected, but yeah, they have a nice arc, and they will still hit the target and help to debuff the stats of your enemies. Then we get the Death Globe, that in this case is better because they are more explosive. They do plenty more of damage, and yeah, they will annihilate the units that are coming, even if, of course, they have a very short Windows frame of time. But yeah, they do plenty of damage, so I think they deserve the A tier. And yeah, believe me, they are very, very strong. Then we get the jet sails. I don't remember the oh my god, sorry, it's very, very late now. It's 3 o'clock. So okay, the jet sails of the Skaven are like the crane gunners, and I like them. They have the shields, so they are protected. They have the shield breakers, so they will no wait, they don't have the shield breaker. Oh, I don't remember, sorry, I really don't remember now. It's very, very late. This is the last time that I do a video has at such a time, but it's okay. Okay, these are long-range snipers with the shield. You still need to deploy them in a strategic position because they need the straight sight of the enemy. But yeah, they are not maybe okay. No, they have the shield breaker because it's the rattling guns that they have the suppressed fire. Yeah, okay, so they have the shield breakers, so it's great because they are good against cavalry, against heavy infantry, infantry, yeah, characters, monsters, against everything, and this is great. I think back in Total War Warhammer 2 they were my favorite missile infantry, even if you cannot deploy them in your siege battles over the wall. And this is something that Please Creative Assembly fix because it would be a huge advantage for these units. And yeah, they're definitely S tier. Then we get the Rattling Guns. The Rattling Guns are another 2 OP units. For me, they're even out of this scale because for this price and with this range, with all this damage that is with the suppressed fire, so they reduce the speed of the enemy that is approaching you, but it will go slower, so you will have more time to shoot at him, and then the rate of fire is very, very fast. I mean, it's too good to be real, and honestly, I would see this unit more in Total War Warhammer 40k than this. Then we get the Poisoned Wind Mortars. I didn't know if include this unit in this video because even if they are missile infantry, they are more an artillery piece. I mean, they're like lead belchers, probably even stronger. There is the Regiment Renown version that can, you know, their cannonballs can split in the air and, you know, land in a wider area. And this is insane for the damage. And yeah, they're definitely a S tier because, yeah, they are mortars, but more accurate, more in numbers, and, I mean, for real, more effective than the artillery pieces themselves. Now let's do the Vampire Coast for an order that I'm not sure what I was following. First we have the Grenadiers that, yeah, for me they are the same level of the Grenadiers of Nangao. They have even less ammunition, the damage is not better, so yeah, I mean, you can recruit them to have a little of fun. They're not, I mean, they're still mid-shield, so if you want to use them as an extra protection, but they're not a solid unit. That's why the D tier, it's, I mean, I've been more than generous. Then we have the Pistoliers. The Pistoliers, in one of my previous, I made a battle unit roster guide for the Vampire Coast, and I included them into the melee infantry section. But at the end, they are, I mean, I use them as a melee unit mostly, but even as a missile units, they are not that bad. They do plenty of damage if you fire at the right unit. That means not a very high tier armored units, so they are great. I mean, they have many ammunition, a nice range for being zombies, so yeah, I think that probably not the B tier because I still don't use them a lot as a missile, but as a, yeah, I use them as more, you know, versatile, flexible units, so C tier. Then we get the handgunners of the zombies. Now this unit for me is definitely the best cost effectiveness of the game because they're very, very cheap, but they do so much damage. Okay, the only problem is that they are zombies, so quite defenseless, and that you need to deploy them in your front line, but they have plenty of range. They have not many I mean, okay, no, probably not the S tier, but yeah, I mean, they're so low price and they do so much damage. I recruit them in all of my Vampire Coast armies. I very recently played a campaign with the Count Noctilus, and I was taking so many of them, and they were destroying everything. I mean, the crossfire with these handgunners, it's so heavy that, yeah, A tier at least. Then we get the hand cannons that, I mean, for me, they're not great. Like for the, where that I don't find them. Where are they? Like the Iron Hail of the Grand Cathay gunners of the Grand Cathay. They want to replicate the same stuff of the blunderbusses, but at the end they are not that. I mean, battle testing them, they don't satisfy me, and I stopped to recruit them. I try every time in my every different Vampire Coast campaign to, you know, use them again. Maybe I didn't play with the right strategy, but they always kind of disappoint me. That's why I would put them into the C tier. But I mean, for the variety, probably they can be a nice option. And then we get the deck gunners. Now the deck gunners are the best missile infantry in the Vampire Coast roster, and they're definitely worthy the price, even if they are bigger, more elite. Sorry, if they are fewer entities, more elite, more expensive, but yeah, they're just catlings with a lot of armor piercing damage, long range. You need to defend them because they will be highly prioritized by the enemy charging you in the front, in the flanks, or whatever. But yeah, they're definitely worthy. And I mean, pirates with the gatlings, what do you want more? Now let's address the last faction. I'm talking about Kislev, the big Republic Empire of Kingdom of Kislev. Sorry guys, I'm about to fall asleep, but I will never fall asleep because I have still to edit the video for probably 3 hours, now maybe 2, depends. And so let's do it. First, let's start with the Cossars. The Cossars are an amazing low-tier unit. I always wanted to play a campaign with Constantine, recruiting only Cossars, you know, in the Zerkovich way, but I didn't know if making a video about it. That's why I haven't done it yet. They're great. They have good range. They are good melee combat, so they are quite reliable even in melee. There is the version with the spear, the version with just the axe that is most suitable against other infantry. The spear is of course better for the cavalry, and yeah, they are great. You can really make an army only of them. And before the Kislevite warriors, I was having a lot of fun because I mean the Kislevite warriors are truly an amazing unit. That's why I recruit them. But I remember back in you know, the release of Total War Warhammer 3 that I was building early game armies only of Cossars, but with more layers of Cossars, and see this huge rain of arrows, and then, you know, just the first line was engaging in melee. I mean, it was crazy experience. I love that. That's why I think they deserve probably the S tier, because for that price, for that tier, they are a more than must to recruit for Kislev. Then we get the armored Cossars, the version with shield and the version without shield. Now, I decided in this case to take both because the shield for me makes the difference. They have less range, of course. The damage is stronger than the Cossars, but yeah, they will have a window of time far shorter. And second, they need the straight sight because they are not archers, they are pistoliers, and this is a huge disadvantage. That's why we'll put them into the B tier, because they have the shields, so they will be protected by other missile units. Then we get the version with the great weapons. In this case, they don't have the shield, and this is the only reason I will put them here, because in case of being attacked, I mean, if you want to do a fight between 2 missile infantry and one is the armored Cossars with shield, you may have a chance to win, but with the other you will be unprotected and you will lose. Then we get the Streltsy. I never get how to pronounce them, but yeah, this unit is very loved by the community. So I'm a little scared of where I'm about to put them. They are great, they are truly great, but they have all the problem of the terrain that I already mentioned for the Thunderers and for the handgunners, and this is a big disadvantage. Their melee capabilities, I think that they are sold stronger than it actually is, because they don't perform quite well against the other mid-tier infantry, melee infantry. They have the armor piercing damage, that's true, but if surrounded by units that are not armored, for example, they will take so much damage, and I mean, they are useless in this case. That's why we'll still put them into the B tier, and I mean, they are more expensive, so yeah, I think they are close to the Thunderers, so they need to be together. Then we get the the Ice Guard. I don't know why I keep the 2 version. Okay, here was just a mistake of mine, because yeah, it doesn't change the missile attack. In any case, they have a long range, they have the frostbite. That is great because it reduces the speed of the enemy approaching, and it will help not only them but even your other missile infantry that are shooting at the same unit. Then they are more than decent combatants. There is the version against the infantry, the version with against monsters, and I mean, they're truly good. I will probably put them into the S tier because yeah, I love to build my late game campaigns with Cathay. That it's the campaign that I played more, probably more the one that I played more was the one with Kairos, but the second is definitely the one with the Cathay, and yeah, just love them. Then there are the Axina ambushers that I mean, what we can say. First, at the release of Shadows of Change DLC, they were probably here. I mean, up, because they were so strong. They had the armor piercing damage. They were very good melee combatants. Now they took off the armor piercing damage. Even in this case, I'm a little scared to say something wrong because they changed the game with so many patches so many times. But yeah, they're still very, very great. They have the stalk, so they can move hidden. Then they don't have probably the writing of armor piercing damage, but they do more armor piercing damage than Cossars and so on. So yeah, I mean, you can see from here that probably Kislev has the best missile infantry, or I mean, the best department of missile infantry of the game. I mean, they're I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry, it's the end of the video. Thank you for following me. I will go to edit the video, to prepare the bag, and to take my plane to Sofia. So see you very, very soon.